Welcome back. And listen, I want you to pay close attention to this next one because it might be the most important conversation we have all day. Every segment so far has shown you what's possible, the careers, the industries, the pathways. But here's a question nobody likes to ask out loud. How do you actually get from where you are right now? How does a high school senior become a quantum computing engineer? How does a Marine become a data scientist? What credentials actually matter in 2026? What's a college degree worth versus a boot camp versus a military credential versus on-the-job training? This is what our next segment is all about, education and workforce development. And it's one of my favorite topics. Here's why this matters right now. AI is rewriting the job faster than schools can keep up. There are roles in AI, cybersecurity, and quantum computing that didn't exist 5 years ago. And there will be roles 5 years from now that don't exist today. So the question is not whether the future is coming. The question is, are we building the bridges so you can walk across into it? That is the work of our next presenter, and she is the absolute top tier of people doing it anywhere in this country. Dr. Talitha Washington is the executive director of Howard University's Center for Applied Data Science and Analytics, Go Bison. She holds the Sean McLeese Endowed Chair. She is professor of mathematics, and she co-chairs Howard's President AI Advisory Council. She is principal investigator of a national science-funded national research network on AI jobs, AI skills, and AI credentials, which is literally the answer to the question we just asked. She is a former NSF program director. She is the past president of the Association for Women in Mathematics. She is a fellow of the American Mathematical Society, the AWM, and the AAAS. If anyone in this country has a map of where you can go and how you can get there, it is her. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to please welcome Dr. Talitha Washington.
What a fantastic introduction. So today I am going to talk to you all about powering up your future, data, AI, and some opportunities. As my introducer said, Dr. McCurry said, I am here at Howard University in Washington, D.C. in the Office of the Provost. So I'll just share some ideas and tips and what I can to let you know about different opportunities in data and AI. Before I begin, I just want to say that everything I say is my opinion. If you like it, great. If you don't, that's okay too. And so they're just my opinion, my views. And hopefully I'll be able to inspire you to think about things in different ways. So where did I begin? Well, you can see me on the left-hand side there. Cute little baby. They call me light bulb head, I guess, because my hair or lack thereof, not sure which. But I'm from Evansville, Indiana, which is in southwestern Indiana. And that's a picture of me in the middle going to the, I guess, the holiday dance. I think it was my sophomore year in high school there, going with a friend of mine. And, you know, you just never know where you and your friends will end up. I ended up being a mathematician, and he ended up being on stage with Bruno Mars. His name is Philip Lawrence. So we're still great friends to this day. So you just never know where you start, even if it's crazy here. It's how you finish. And so when I went to college at Spelman in Atlanta, Georgia, I actually tested into pre-calculus 2. Most of my friends there, they tested into calculus 1 or higher. And so I did no matrices. So I kind of started out, I'll say at a lower level, pre-cal 2. And you can also see that in my second semester of my first year, I took a W. A W is when you would draw from a class. You don't have to take an L. That would be a loss because I was not doing well. I was struggling. It was proofwriting. It was hard. I took that same class a year later. I stuck with my studies, did not give up. A year later, I made an A in that class. So sometimes you might hit that class where you're like, oh, it's so hard right now. You might have to wait and do it later. And then you knock it out with an A. So what did I do as an undergrad at Spelman? So I had some jobs because we're kind of talking about jobs and upskilling, that sort of thing. My first summer, I was going to cut grass. That's why you see a big block of grass there. It was really hard to find a job. I lived in our career services all the time. They had lots of pizza too, with the info sessions. And Bristol Myers Squibb in Evansville, Indiana, back home, was going to hire me to work on the lawn. I got there, they interviewed me. They said, "Oh no, you can come work in AC as a pharmaceutical packaging intern." It was super. I got to look at and write a report on the safe handling of cytotoxic compounds right there on the plant floor. Really learned a lot, had a great mentor there. I also tutored in math at Spelman. We got paid for that, which is great. I did a summer program at Bentley in accounting. I also was an actuarial intern at Cigna in Hartford, Connecticut, and a resident assistant at Spelman. So, and the resident assistant in the dorms meant that I helped other people in dorms, and I got paid to do that and live and eat. So I always had a job as an undergraduate and also as high school. I think I did McDonald's twice in high school. And so always had a job, was doing something. So you see me over at the left-hand side at Spelman, where I flipped burgers, also played in the marching band. And one of the topics that I investigated as an undergrad is stability of difference equations, which to this day, we won't say how many decades later, actually is a foundation for my mathematical work now. I then went on to get a master's and PhD from the University of Connecticut. So what happens between college and then PhD, they actually give you some money to live on and you don't pay tuition. So it was hard work, it was fun, and it was paid for. So good work does pay off, but you gotta, if you hit the struggle walls, you gotta keep pushing forward. The way I like to think about things is through mathematical modeling. I like to look and see what's happening, both when I was in graduate school and then after graduate school as a postdoc at Duke University. I looked at mathematical biology, where I looked at a biological phenomenon, investigate and look at what's happening through a mathematical model, and developing mathematics to describe what's happening, to form hypotheses, to help quantify, to help make predictions, to say what's happening, to say what's not happening. So I guess that's another way to say I'm mathematically nosy. And right now, I am the executive director, Center for Applied Data Science Analytics here at Howard University, and have super fun working with faculty, working with students and programs across the curriculum. Our program is led by Dr. Amy Clark-Kume, professor of environment and equity. We also have professors in biology, math, medicine, education, English. Why? Because data science analytics transcends all disciplines. Everybody has a little data, whether it's text, whether it's numbers, whether it's images, and we like to try to figure out what's going on. So in thinking about data science, we could think about data science to extract useful information from some data set. So like I have my Apple Watch on, and perhaps I can extract some useful information about my oxygen uptake, intake, how much I'm exercising, rate of perceived exertion, all of those things, and maybe extract something useful. Maybe I worked more this week, or maybe not. But that is the idea. Can we take data and say something useful? Now, we hear a lot about artificial intelligence these days. We can think of artificial intelligence as leveraging computers and machines to mimic problem-solving and decision-making capabilities of the human mind, whether it's a car to mimic my driving, hopefully better, whether it's I'm pushing text into a phone and it's predicting the next word after looking at a string of words, or it's trying to say, I wonder what she's going to write next. Maybe it's this word, and it'll suggest words. So the idea of AI is to mimic humans in as much as possible. But we've also seen a lot of, I'll say, interesting phenomenon around AI, anywhere from jobs to data centers to humanoid robots, to how will this shift the market? How will this shift what we should learn, how we should learn, where we should learn? How do we remain good stewards and be ethically responsible so that it doesn't inflict harm? So there's a lot that's happening now. And when I talked with AI with our students here at Howard some time ago, this past semester, when I asked them what they think about AI and art, what came to mind, they said inauthentic, bad, soulless, jobless. So there's a lot of, I'll say, folks who don't like it, But guess what? Cat's out of the bag, and it's here. And I will say this, after talking with the students, I think about 15 minutes in, and hopefully you'll give me that opportunity here as well. When we looked at what AI really was, it was like, oh, it's not as bad as what I thought it was. So let's dive into what is this AI stuff really? So you can think of, you see the Venn diagram there. We have artificial intelligence mimicking human behavior. A proper subset of that is machine learning, where you're using statistics, yes, statistics, to enable machines to improve. So it's driven through mathematics, it's driven through mathematical models, and it's driven through statistics. And then a proper subset of that is deep learning, where you have multiple layers of neural networks. And again, you're still using statistical computations and mathematical modeling. Will there be other ways to do AI in that green area there? Absolutely. A lot of the AI we're seeing has a bunch of L's in it: machine learning, deep learning, and so on. So what is this neural network about? You see the left-hand side, there's a penguin. Well, you can take data measurements of that penguin, and then you turn them into a vector. Yeah, vectors and matrices work in AI. Turn them into a vector, and then you feed them through this netted of functions. Now, somebody actually developed the functions. Somebody actually made the connections, put some weights there to kind of figure out, well, if you have these measurements, then it's that penguin right there on the right-hand side. But note there's a probability value of 0.7, which means that 70% probability that it's that penguin means that 30% of the time you might push it through and get the wrong penguin. And so a lot of the deep learning, the ChatGPT, all the rest of that, we get wrong answers, not because they're just wrong answers, because of how the model's built. It's built on probability. It's not 100%. You may get the right answer 70% of the time, or maybe a different probability value, but it's never going to give you a determined value of this or that. And so this is from a course that I took with Microsoft Learn, which was actually a fun course. So in AI, it's not, hey, let's have the data and then just push it through. Somebody figured out the functions. Somebody figured out how to network them together. So back in the day in math, you're always given a function like y equals mx plus b. You're told what happens with variables and numbers. But in AI, you're actually trying to figure out, well, if I have these numbers, what's the function so that I can make a prediction that, in this case, that is the penguin. And so there's a lot of math that happens in AI in a natural way. And really it is math that powers AI. And AI, honestly, has been around for a while, since like 1956, before I was born, if you can believe that. And so we've seen AI as a concept. We've used it on Google search engines. We've used it on Home Depot to figure out where do we put our kitchen sink if we're trying to redesign our kitchen. But what happened in 2022 is when ChatGPT came on the scene and people could put it in their phones, their computers, they could generate text, generate images, and do all these things. And so people said, whoa, if AI can do all these things, what am I doing? Well, trust me. Well, you don't have to trust me, but trust me on this one. Yeah, AI won't, I don't think it will replace human behavior. Humans, well, be a smart human, right? And so there are different types of AI. Predictive AI, maybe you want to make predictions. Maybe you want to have a conversation, so it's conversational AI. Maybe you want to generate some content, some text, images, code, movies. Agentic AI, having them actually perform tasks for you. And then voice AI agents that maybe they can answer your phone and have a conversation with somebody. But the most important, honestly, I think, is responsible AI, to make sure that AI use is ethical, that we keep saying, is this the right or the wrong way to do this? It's transparent. We can see behind the scenes. It's secure. Our data is just not going everywhere and anywhere. And also it's aligned with our values. At the end of the day, AI should not replace core elements of our teaching, learning, and research and who we are. So remember, the human processor is the brain. That's the original processor. And I think that's the best processor. But you know, when you put stuff in a ChatGPT, let's say in your phone or the computer or what have you, where does that information go? Well, where it goes is a data center. They call it the cloud, but it's not really like a cloud in the sky. It's actually a room full of racks. So you see him on the right there with a whole bunch of racks, and he's taking one out. There's a whole bunch of network wires. You want to keep it cool. That's why he's wearing a sweatshirt, because those racks can get pretty hot. And so this data center is an actual physical facility that stores server, storage, network, and equipment that runs your data. It stores data and it could actually do the processing. So every AI image, song, or video generated is done somewhere, and that place is a data center. And so they'll use power, right? Electricity to power them, but then also you think about cooling, and there are other concerns. So here's an example of a data center that Microsoft has. It's like you can almost think of it like a twin. One's in Wisconsin and one's in Atlanta, Georgia. And so it's a super factory. But one, I think, noble way that Microsoft is trying to be good stewards of the environment is this is a closed loop facility, meaning that it consumes almost zero additional water versus what it's set up with. And it's also, they designed the computing to reduce idle energy waste. So they're building data centers, keep the pressure on folks, right? That really speaks to being good stewards and respecting the environment. We need more technology to make sure that we do it in a great way. But I really like how Microsoft is really going in I think, the right direction. So what are some things that are happening with AI in discovery and in discovering science? Well, recently, this was November 2025, there was a launching of a Genesis mission. Sounds like a movie, but you can think about it as a national initiative to take all this data, put it in some supercomputers, and maybe we can drive innovations in new ways. Maybe we can double the productivity within a shorter amount of time. Maybe we can make connections between different ideas, different concepts that could really accelerate research. So this is how folks are thinking about using AI to drive research, to drive discovery, and to figure out the next big discovery, we'll say. We also see, like in AI jobs, right? You know, like I said, I've always had a job, at least one job, maybe multiple. But we're seeing that it's reshaping work. It's changing what we're doing. It's changing how we're doing. And really, at the end of the day, it's good to be flexible, to adapt, to reskill. Nobody knows everything about everything. So it's always a good idea to keep reskilling. And at the end of the day, critical thinking, being able to think, will be paramount and most important. So what are some skills that matter? For AI, you got to know what it can and cannot do. It can't solve everything, but it can be helpful in some situations. Data, a lot of AI is powered by data, and we're inundated with a lot of data. So being able to read, question, and explain it is a very, I think, useful skill. Creativity, being able to imagine, build stuff, out of the box thinking. Communication, speaking, writing, listening, and working with others. Communication is a perishable skill. So you got to practice talking with people, talking with maybe the people that make you feel a little bit nervous, but you work through that and you learn different tactics in doing that. And then also ethical judgment, always asking, is this the right thing to do? Is this the wrong thing to do? Is this the responsible thing to do? So what are some ways you could upskill? There are many credentials online. I know I have them on my personal webpage. If you go to talitha.washington.com under Student Corner, here's just a few. So Microsoft has like an Azure AI Fundamentals. Google also has AI Essentials. Amazon, Certified AI Practitioner, Anthropic, and Cisco. They all have some beginner courses in AI. And so as you are sitting on the beach this summer, perhaps maybe you want to dive into one of these just to challenge your learning. And guess what? A lot of this is free if you're a student. And you can post it on your LinkedIn, your resume, that sort of thing. And if you wanted to come to your phone, you can just text READY to 20202. the Department of Labor has an AI literacy framework and a training program that will actually come to your phone through text messages. And so I've heard a couple people who said they have done this and they have enjoyed it. So if you just want to do it by your phone, you can just do it by your phone. So there's a lot of different career pathways out there. It can be in academia, private sector, government, nonprofit. And at the end of the day, I like to eat. I like shoes too. So when you think about, gosh, sometimes these studies are kind of hard. There is a salary at the end of the tunnel after some hard work and some diligence. And so if you notice here, here's some in-demand jobs. So data science, machine learning engineer, machine learning scientist, applications architect, enterprise architect, building IT systems. These are like some top paid jobs. So not a bad gig to go into. And so I just want to leave with some final tips here. There are three things that I always tell my students in thinking about getting jobs. Make sure your resume is updated, optimize it. You can ask different grown-ups, you go online and find examples, but take some time to develop and draft a resume. Even if you don't feel like you have much to put on it, it's a living, breathing document. Also, a lot of industry and job connections happen on LinkedIn. So a lot of folks, when they come to college, we expect them to have a LinkedIn profile. It's not 100% mandatory, but there's an expectation there to have a LinkedIn profile because that's where business connections are made. Also, maximizing a GitHub profile. GitHub, you can think of that as like a personal profile to showcase your data projects, your AI projects, your code, that sort of thing. And so those three components, resume, LinkedIn, GitHub, really that's, I think, the triad for entering the market at the moment. But at the end of the day, I just want to leave you with three things. Have fun with what you're doing, right? Whether it's flying an airplane, whether it's going to a math festival, and those are my three kids at the upper right. Just have fun with what you're doing. And then also no judging. And this comes from Jessica. I'm a certified dance instructor, dance to fit instructor. So no judging of yourself or others. Just do the best you can. Show up every day and give it your best. And then number three, never give up. We all face adversity, and it's those who can work through it and learn from it, grow from it, who will do well. I just want to leave you with the AI sandwich, a tasty meal. So note that with the sandwich, it's you with your input ideas. AI may do some churning, but you always have to be the one in the driver's seat as the pilot, as the one who are using it to fact check, critique, analyze, and think. Because at the end of the day, it's going to be critical thinking. It's going to be your brain, the processor. So hope to connect with you all soon. I'll be around on LinkedIn. You can follow our center on LinkedIn. We're also on the gram, and look forward to staying connected.
This spring, we're launching Service to Nation, a national virtual job and career fair, a nationwide movement to connect America's high school students with careers of purpose, innovation, and service. From rural towns to urban schools, Service to Nation invites grades 10 through 12 to explore emerging fields like artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and quantum computing, while meeting real employers, colleges, and national service organizations. Our message is clear: your future, your service, your nation. This campaign isn't just about jobs. It's about civic readiness, workforce development, and national impact. With videos, social content, and live experiences, we'll reach students where they are and give partners a platform to meet mission-driven young talent. Together, we'll inspire a generation to learn, serve, and lead. Service to Nation, a national virtual job and career fair. Learn more at servicetonation.org.
Welcome to WOC. We are here today and so excited in Baltimore City, and I am here with Pamela Olivier. who is the president and CEO of BG&E. And we are so excited to have you here.
Marcia, I am excited to be here with you specifically.
Thank you so much. We've heard so much of the rumblings in the city that this is happening, that you're now the new president. How does that make you feel? What did you think when they made that decision for you?
Well, BGE is 209 years old. We are the oldest gas utility in the country. And I'm the first woman and woman of color to sit in this position. So it is humbling. I'll start there. But also is just a reminder that we have a long ways still to go as it relates to opening up opportunities for all.
And that's a big word, for all.
For all.
How do we go through a community to help rebuild some of these communities that have not had the opportunity to go in places that they need to experience?
Well, I would start with one of the things that is just a core value for us is really economic development. And we believe that that starts with education. We believe that starts with workforce development. So we have many programs in place that really strive to introduce young people to STEM and technical careers. We have a STEM into Action program, and we have touched over 1,000 young people, just educating them on STEM, technology, what careers are available to them in that space. We do high school internships.
I love it.
We do college internships. In terms of opening doors, over 400 scholarships to students, 350 plus grants. We have put, by the end of the year, 28 STEM centers in schools across Baltimore and the BGE territory.
Are you kidding me?
Absolutely. And it's really all about access and opportunity.
It really is.
Because we know there is brilliance abound, but if you don't have the access and opportunity and exposure, you might not even be able to dream as big as you should be dreaming. And we want these youth around Baltimore City and across our service territory, we want them to think and dream so big the dream can't even fit into a box.
And it's really huge because most of these children don't know, let alone their parents, they don't know what they don't know.
That's right.
So if you don't know what you don't know, then how is it going to be possible for you to affect change in your community?
That's right.
And that's where the strength of the education and being able to deploy that into our communities. We have communities that are suffering because they don't even know what they don't know to go get what they need to get.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. There is so much opportunity across the city. I think the possibilities are endless.
Yes.
We have people like you each day telling our story. And it's not the story of The Wire.
At all.
It is the story of excellence across this region.
Yes.
And bringing that story to life. So just love and appreciate what you're doing each day.
Oh, thank you.
To really tell that story.
And that's really huge. And when you look at the history of BG&E, and now you're the first female woman of color at BG&E as CEO, Chief Information Officer, Chief Executive Officer.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
This is huge. And so when you got the note, I just want to know the little personal side. The little personal side. So when somebody said, okay, we want her to be the CEO, and they called you up, what'd you do?
Well, first, you always have to say, for real now? Say what now? But just really excited and appreciative that all the hard work, the struggle, the fight, the time, and the muscle that you have to build to get ready to even be considered for an opportunity like this. So really, like I said at the beginning, just humbled.
Yes.
Just humbled and really excited about I have to keep the lights on and the gas flowing, and I have to do that safely every day. But the broader part of my role is, what am I doing in the communities where we live and work?
Yes.
What am I doing to support those communities, to remove barriers in those communities? What does that look like? And to me, that's the biggest part of the role, the most critical part.
It really is. And, I walk a lot. I don't drive anymore. And I end up walking all over from down Pennsylvania Avenue on the west side. I go all the way down to the new Coppin location down there.
Marcia, how many steps are you getting in
I
each
don't
day?
know. I need to probably count them, but I
You
haven't
need
been
to.
doing that. Then I go all the way down. I end up walking all the way down to Fells Point and doing something else. But it's what you see that you can talk about and what needs to be done.
Right.
And it's really important that you're that new change that we're going to be able to see coming out of that office, because it takes the village and everybody in it.
Everybody.
Right?
Everybody.
Now, you've been this wonderful leader, so we have a high expectation. I know you.
Oh,
we know.
Marcia.
We know, because I already see you. I see you. I see you. I see you. What do you want your customers to think now that you have a new position?
Everything that we do is really centered around how do we support our customers. And right now, for everybody, affordability is top of mind.
Yes.
People are going to the grocery stores. Eggs are more expensive. They have to pay more for child care, for their apartment, for their home, for their car note. They may be supporting a parent or a loved one, health care. And so we don't want energy to be that burden for our customers.
That's huge.
Yeah, it is really huge. In July, we rolled out a customer relief fund, which was $15 million for our most vulnerable customers. And we partnered with Franklin Baker and the United Way to distribute those funds to over 30,000 customers.
Really?
And they got anywhere from $250 to $450. We had a few people sprinkled in there that got $750, really to provide that energy assistance.
And it's needed.
And it is absolutely needed.
Yes.
I would say the first few hours, we actually broke the network because so many calls were coming into United Way to gain access to those funds. So it is absolutely needed. It's a short-term fix, though.
Yes.
One of the things, did you know that Baltimore Gas and Electric doesn't produce gas or power?
No, I thought that's what BG&E meant.
No. All we do, we're like DoorDash. So the state, and we buy it from another city, state, and then we just bring it to your door. So we're DoorDash. We just put the gas and power in, and we just bring it to your door. So we're distributors, but we do not generate gas and power.
Okay.
And right now the state has an energy security issue. So the state only produces 60% of the power that we consume. There's a deficit, that other 40%. So we're bringing that in from Pennsylvania, West Virginia, New Jersey. It is very expensive to bring that power into the state, and suppliers who are actually generating the power and gas that we don't generate, they're making us pay a premium. And we're paying the premium because there's scarcity of this resource. And you know how that works. Scarcity in the supply, but high demand, price skyrocket.
Right. Yep.
So that's what we're dealing with right now. So what we have been doing is really trying to partner with the state to really take a look at the energy policy, but also take a look at how do we get to a point where the state is owning their energy destiny and we're producing all that energy in state and not bringing it in from other states.
Is that coming out of the governor's office?
We're partnering with the governor. We're partnering with General Assembly members. We're partnering with our council members locally. But we have got to get this resolved by 2027. PJM, which is the transmission organization that really looks at how power is moving through states. And essentially, they have said by summer of 2027, Baltimore City and surrounding areas, we will experience blackouts and brownouts.
Okay. So
This is
that's
real.
what we're working on now in order to get it in alignment with what needs to happen to be deployed.
That's right. But new generation takes 5 to 7 years to build. So it's pretty scary.
Yes.
And we want our customers not to have to be paying for this expensive gas and power that we're bringing into the state, and the price just keeps going up,
Right.
and they bear the brunt of that. And we're trying to figure out how do we solve for that in partnership with the state as well as competitive market.
Well, I'm telling you, I know you are on a short time frame, but let me tell you, this is just the beginning. And hearing what you're going through, setting in place, is huge
Thank you.
for this state. And just know that these are the kinds of words that we need to be able to share throughout our communities. So thank you so much for spending time with us, because I know you on the clock, but hopefully we'll be able to chat with you again.
Absolutely. And Marcia, again, thank you for having me.
Girl, yes.
Thank you for telling me, I have only known you for a little while, and right away you pulled me in like I was family and said, how can I help you?
Right.
I'm here. And that's what Baltimore is all about. So I am just so blessed and privileged to be amongst people who are passionate about this city,
Yes.
passionate about what the possibilities are, and willing to partner. So thank you so much for everything you do.
And thank you for being in that position, sitting in that seat, and being sensitive to the needs of the citizens of the state of Maryland.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, and God bless you. And thank
You
you
too.
so
God
much
bless.
for taking time out of your day
No,
to be
this
here
was
with us.
amazing.
It's
Thank
huge.
you.
Thank you.
This spring, we're launching Service to Nation, a national virtual job and career fair, a nationwide movement to connect America's high school students with careers of purpose, innovation, and service. From rural towns to urban schools, Service to Nation invites grades 10 through 12 to explore emerging fields like artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and quantum computing while meeting real employers, colleges, and national service organizations. Our message is clear: your future, your service, your nation. This campaign isn't just about jobs. It's about civic readiness, workforce development, and national impact. With videos, social content, and live experiences, we'll reach students where they are and give partners a platform to meet mission-driven young talent. Together, we'll inspire a generation to learn, serve, and lead. Service to Nation, a national virtual job and career fair. Learn more at servicetonation.org.
Welcome. I'm so glad to meet you. How are you today?
I'm well. How are you
Good.
doing?
And Dr. Pena.
Yes.
So how did you know about the Black Engineer of the Year Awards conference? Did you get an award?
Yes, I did receive an award. I received the GEM Outstanding Young Alumnus Award.
Oh, wonderful.
And I actually received an award like 12 years ago when I was an undergrad as well, in undergraduate research.
Oh, so you're family now, right?
Yes.
So tell us about your position.
So I started an early stage biotech company after my PhD years ago called Vibes. We're building bio-based stretch materials to replace spandex and nylon.
So how did you come up with this concept? What were you doing that you saw something? This sounds huge,
Yes.
right? So what were you doing to get to this place where you would create something like this? This
It
is
starts with the
wonderful.
customer. It starts with understanding the problem So in our last year of PhDs, my co-founder and I took the National Science Foundation I-Core programming. It's a program for startups, and, students and researchers to actually explore needs in the industry that they want to innovate in. And so we just talked to people, and we learned about the challenges and needs and opportunities in the textile industry, and we landed on filling the gap of these bio-based stretch materials.
I love that. And now I've heard the I-Core program before. They had it over at Columbia University.
Yes.
A gentleman over there was working in that department. So that's really interesting.
Yes, they
Small
have
world.
nodes all over the U.S. Regional, local, and national programs to really hone in on a value proposition so that we can really understand the gaps in the market.
So how do you take this out into the corporate world?
Yes. So the key thing is thinking about consortia effort. So stakeholders across the supply chain. And so pairing with textile brands and understanding their process for taking in new materials. And so it really starts with partnerships and collaborations with our end users, which are those textile brands.
So in looking at that, so I want to back up a little bit. What did you want to be when you were a little girl?
When I was little, I wanted to be a chef and a fashion designer.
Okay, and so we did a fast movement into something else. How did you take those levels like that?
I've always been curious about the world around us, how things work, and have an engineering mind. So kind of naturally was drawn to biomedical engineering. And so my North Star is improving quality of life. And so wanting to create technologies and support technologies that help us live better.
And so in this process, in looking, are you doing things from a national standpoint or a global standpoint?
Yes, definitely a global standpoint. So the textile industry has global supply chains. And so I was in Shanghai giving a talk on these opportunities of protein-based materials in December, and now starting to think about partnerships with textile mills there. And we are embedded in a national lab at Argonne. So we have collaborators at the national lab to be able to de-risk our technology and advance the materials. And we have partners at institutions as well throughout the U.S. as we're building our own partnerships and collaborations to really ensure that this goes to market.
So when you look at the products that you're making, right, what are the top 3 things that you've had to do in order to create this business?
I think any challenge for a startup and early stage business is scaling. The textile industry has a tremendous scale. And so really thinking about how can we leverage partners that have the capacity to be able to scale. And so we're grateful that we've been partnering with University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. They have an integrated research bioprocessing research lab that enables us to scale our bioprocess to the scale needed to demonstrate that we can go to market.
It can be done.
Yes.
Right. And so is it really difficult to be able to get to market? How do you open up some of those doors?
It is challenging, but again, it goes back to people and relationships and talking to the customers and understanding their needs, because those needs evolve and change. And so having them as a part of our joint collaborations of research proposals so that their input is there while we're developing.
But that's huge development. And so you've been doing things with national laboratories and partnering. How do you integrate your business into all of these programs that are available? We
have to understand the stakeholders' interests and desires too, and find ways to meet and synergize. And so for the national labs, they care about clean energy and efficiencies, and they have a lot of renewable feedstocks that we were able to use for our bioprocess. And so it's really about learning, how our partners work best and what their capabilities are, and being able to combine and match that.
How do you identify your partners?
It's definitely through conversations, it is through understanding what everyone does best. And that again goes back to talking to people.
And too often we don't even know what we don't know.
Yes.
Right?
Exposure is important. So just being in places, showing up. I really enjoy zooming in and zooming out. And so I like to go to conferences, to courses, to learn, to see who's in my cohort. I really have leveraged cohort-based programs throughout my career so that we can learn from each other. People talk about, wanting to have mentors and folks that are way ahead of them in their journey, but we can really leverage some of those lateral relationships as well.
And that's huge, just in and of itself. So you've been also doing some work with our local Hopkins, right?
Yes, so my PhD is from Johns Hopkins.
I love it.
And so I was living in Baltimore for 6 years
Really?
pursuing biomedical
nice.
engineering PhD. So a lot of my work was in human cell tissue products, and so developing biomaterials to harness our immune system for repair.
Wow.
And so I'm using that very same fundamentals to now make bio-based materials for textile industry.
So are you going back and forth with Hopkins at all? Is there a long-term partnership with them?
So obviously as my alma mater, I want to support and mentor students. And so I'm actively involved in sharing perspective and experience on panels. And I will be supporting their upcoming I-Corps program as a mentor.
Oh,
and so
good.
yes, it's going to be a lifelong partnership with Hopkins. So I can continue to
Yes, because they're
support.
just down the street.
Yes.
That's wonderful. Now, there was also a I-Corps program. Is it in different institutions
Yes.
as well? Can you explain I-Corps?
Yes, so it's a National Science Foundation funded customer discovery program. There are different nodes throughout the US. And so all the nodes will be able to give these programs for customer discovery, basically teaching researchers how to test out their ideas, their hypotheses with people, because customers are people. Businesses are made up of people.
Yes.
Our problems are rooted in humanness and our humanity. And so it's just about talking and interviewing.
The first time I ever heard of I-Corps was at Columbia University at the Institute for Learning Technology. And the first day I was like, what is that?
It's
Right?
incredible. It really shifts scientists. Sometimes in my medical research, we want to go from bench to bedside,
Yes.
but customer discovery really flips that paradigm to think about what's at the bedside, what is it the patient needs, what are the global needs in these businesses and industries, and start there, and then be open to any solution. And so for our firm at Good Fives, we are focused on those problems and open to getting there in any way. And that's where creativity comes in and innovation.
But that's huge that you're partnering there.
Yes.
I mean, so what happened for that relationship to develop? Too often we don't know what we don't know, and then all of a sudden you're over at I-Corps. Come on, it's
just about
That's huge.
sharing. It's sharing what you're interested in, what you're working on. People know you, know the fundamentals of your business, your mission. And again, it all points back to those relationships and relational
Yeah.
equity.
They really do. Give us 3 things that you would tell your younger self.
I would tell my younger self that I'm proud of her, to keep leading with curiosity and grace. I think sometimes I've had to instill a warrior mentality because I'm in spaces that may not promote me, and open to continuing on and finding and seeking.
And once you find
Yeah.
what you've sought, then now how does it turn into a product or another program?
Can you repeat your question?
So if we were looking at what you're doing, and as you move through that process,
Yes.
how do you see yourself or your organization to keep in touch with everything, because everything moves so swiftly?
Yes.
So you're going down one path and all of a sudden, aha, there's a whole new product that needs to come, that came out of something that you thought was going to do something over here. How do you bring all that into alignment?
I think those key focus areas, again, for us, we are wanting to promote circularity and thinking about raw material and so keeping that end in mind in that.
And that.
Yeah.
And so where do you see yourself in the next 5?
In the next 5 years, I'm expanding my ventures and businesses, and so offering advisory support, workshops, continuing with innovation as well. And so just building, and I think it's important to think about like future-proofing our concepts. I want my things to be able to run on their own, and so being able to delegate, create more opportunity, and innovate.
Thank you so much. This is
course.
wonderful. Congratulations with all
Thank
that you're
you.
doing. All
Thank you.
right. And we hope to see you again next year.
Yes, of course.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
This spring, we're launching Service to Nation, a national virtual job and career fair, a nationwide movement to connect America's high school students with careers of purpose, innovation, and service. From rural towns to urban schools, Service to Nation invites grades 10 through 12 to explore emerging fields like artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and quantum computing while meeting real employers, colleges, and national service organizations. Our message is clear: your future, your service, your nation. This campaign isn't just about jobs. It's about civic readiness, workforce development, and national impact. With videos, social content, and live experiences, we'll reach students where they are and give partners a platform to meet mission-driven young talent. Together, we'll inspire a generation to learn, serve, and lead. Service to Nation, a national virtual job and career fair. Learn more at servicetonation.org.
What if you could build your own city? A place where every child can find nurturing people to help them achieve their full potential. A place where every adult can access job training support, where health education is abundant, where social justice ruled the land. A place without limitations. Welcome. You have arrived at STEM City, USA. It is what every city should be. A safe and trusted community where you find people and resources to help you become everything you are and beyond. STEM City is unlike anything you have ever experienced. It is a digital twin of the world around you, only better. STEM City is about energy and soul renewal. It is more than a digital world. You can almost feel the power of live cultural events, music, and theater. STEM City promises a better future for children, with caring mentors and hands-on activities, with dedicated tutors to support our youth. STEM City is your passport to a healthy lifestyle, with weekly events addressing our community's many issues. STEM City is your financial well-being, with helpful information on wealth management, career advancement, job training, and so much more. STEM City is the community you deserve. It is the city where your dreams can come true. STEM City USA, a place in the sky that is accessible to all who reach for the stars.
Welcome back. We're at the midday point now. And listen, this next conversation brings everything we talked about today home. But here's the truth. Every single conversation we had today, retail, apprenticeship, energy, education, they all depend on one thing being protected, and that's our national security, our infrastructure, our networks, our way of life. That brings us to government and defense. Now, look, when I say government and defense, I know what some of you young folks are thinking. You're picturing fluorescent lights, a beige cubicle, a stack of paperwork. Hey, throw that picture in the trash. The reality is the exact opposite. Today, the US government and the Department of War are running some of the most advanced AI programs on planet Earth. Autonomous systems, quantum encryption, cyber operations, intelligence at machine speed. And they're doing it in direct competition with nation states investing billions to leapfrog us. This is the front line of the technology race, and it is hiring. Veterans, you already speak this language. You already have the clearance pathway, the operational mindset, the mission focus. Your transition into the defense innovation world is one of the most powerful next chapters you can write. Students, if you ever wanted a career that actually matters, where the work you do affects the safety and freedom of 330 million Americans, this is your invitation. And here to walk us through is a man who spent his entire career building the bridge between innovation and national security. Tyrone Smith is the CEO of Go In Now, LLC, and an innovation ecosystem strategist with over 25 years across government, academia, and the private sector. He personally negotiated a $1.5 billion contract for the National Security Innovation Network. He has integrated HBCUs into America's national innovation ecosystem. He has delivered keynotes for NASA, and he is a master of building the kind of partnerships that protect this country and our national security. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Tyrone Smith. Welcome back. We're at the midday point now.
Good afternoon, everybody. Good afternoon, everybody. And thank you, Victor, Dr. McCreary, excuse me. For you all that are online right now, you should say thank you a lot, because you've had Dr. Victor McCreary, and I don't know if he told you, but he used to be that guy for what's called the National Science Board. You've had Dr. Washington, who's also a friend of mine, talking about basically everything that I wanted to talk about today. Only I have just a bit of a perspective on this. And Dr. Pena, who I also know, and all of the others that have come on to talk to you today about these ideas. And so I wanted to make sure that whatever I brought to you today was useful. I spent the last almost 2 decades being engaged and a part of this national security space. And we're going to talk about the difference between national security and what we know as national defense, because I think it's an important idea. And so, Ray, if you could help me out, and let's start with the presentation. Are we there? Awesome. So, what I want to be able to do today is to really talk about how do you build a career in national security. Again, my name is Tyrone with an M, and that is purposeful, but you can just call me Ty if you ever want to reach out to me. And Go In Now literally stands for Go Government Innovation Now. So Go In Now. And this is the idea that when I was working inside the fence, as it were, in a national security space, really thinking about what it means to do national security and working with people that were trying to build innovation, how to help them think like an entrepreneur you would find in Silicon Valley or Austin, Texas, or in Boston or Chicago, or right here in the DMV, the Delaware, the District, Maryland, and Virginia area, how they get stuff to the market, and really being thoughtful about what that looks like. And so what I'd like to do is just to go down a little bit. So a little bit about me. Again, I've had 20 years experience And so I've been inside that intelligence community. I started at what's called the National Security Agency. I've worked at two others and one in between there. And then I finally ended up at something called the National Geospatial Intelligence Agency. It's a three-letter agency, but it has four words. It kind of gets confusing at times. But what that means is that geospatial intelligence means that everything that happens that you experience happens somewhere, someplace, at some point in the world at some time. And those folks, their job is to figure out what that means. I've had experience not only in the government space, but in the national security space, but adjacent to that is the defense space as well as private sector. It reads that I'm a cyber and technology expert. It's funny because I don't consider myself a technologist. As a matter of fact, I have two sons that are STEM types. One's a mechanical engineer at North Carolina A&T State University, hopefully graduating soon. Another one is at the College of Charleston, also studying computer science, and he's doing some very interesting stuff. But I am helping people think about policy. I help them think about what it is that they're really trying to do. I've worked with agencies the two that I've talked about, and some others that I really can't talk about, or you've never even heard of. And what I'm really here to do, and what I really appreciate, particularly with HBCUs, is that you all, those of you that are students, and I don't want to forget the veterans that might be listening today, that you're part of that next.
Calling all future STEM pioneers, leaders, and career champions. Join us on every second Saturday of the month for the BEA Career Day. BEA STEM Career Day is all about creating opportunities for students to venture into the world of STEM through the eyes of professionals. You'll meet mentors and presenters that will give you a sneak peek into the many options available to you in the field of STEM. Hosted by teen ambassadors, you'll find yourself among inspiring peers just like yourself that are aiming high for their future. To take part in the BEA STEM Career Day on Zoom, visit fullstemahead.us and register for the next session. Again, that's fullstemahead.us. BEA, becoming everything you are.
A world of careers unleashed. You can get it at BEA. Become everything you are.
All right. My apologies. It never fails that a computer will crash at the most inappropriate time. But getting back to where I was, for those of you that are the high school students or the veterans, you're the next generation. What's happening is that those folks that we would traditionally think about being in charge are now leaving service. And so I'm here to help you think about the things that somebody would have told me when I was your age. It would have been so much easier. So let's talk about when we think about national security. There's a difference between what we think about national security and national defense. Most of you think about national security, you think about what we call kinetic engagements. That's warfare. That's the stuff that we're experiencing now. That's when military force or armed conflict, that's a part of national security. That's the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, combat, weapon systems, national strategy, war strategy, those things. But where I'm asking you to think about is what we consider national security. It's a much bigger picture. You heard Dr. McCreary say that national security is much larger. It's protecting the United States, and all of you can join in that. There's diplomatic, there's foreign service, there's intelligence that's both at the national level, state, and local level, by the way. Cyber defense. Cyber defense is not just something that the U.S. has to look for, but there's also espionage. How do we make sure that nation states can't get corporate secrets? That's a possibility, because those corporate secrets could help to enable our national security space, which means economic security, our homeland. Some of you may have heard about on the radio, on the TV, that there was something going on with the gas pumps, and they said, I wonder if there was a nation state actually tackling, interfering in those spaces and tapping into those gas pumps, right? And so that had nothing to do with whether or not we're engaging in some kind of bang, bang, pew, pew, but really, can we depend on understanding what's happening with the security, the cybersecurity, so we could understand what that means? And then we have our whole counterterrorism. Those of you that are old enough to remember 9/11, some of you veterans may have joined as a result of 9/11. There are some of you right now, for instance, that are high schoolers, that 9/11 was literally a decade or more ago. You can be involved in making sure that the next 9/11 doesn't happen. So what does that look like? You go from being a soldier or somebody, and again, that image on the right-hand side has a uniform, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have just a uniform. And then you have this high school student. What does that mean? So here are the kinds of careers that can be both national defense and national security. Cyber defense, protecting these networks. Intelligence analysis, when the information comes in, how do we manage all of that data? Software engineering, to include AI. Building tools to help this community protect the national interest. Counterterrorism, finding, disrupting, preventing these threats. Data and AI systems. Heck, we're moving just beyond. If you're not paying attention to what's happening in AI, and I'm sure that you are, you know that AI is changing dramatically, day by day, absolutely quickly. And then foreign policy, understanding how all of these things impact and influence how we, beyond the boundaries of the United States, engage, understanding what that might look like. But again, you don't have to have a uniform to do this. So keep calm. You don't have to have a uniform. And this is where it becomes really cool. There are right now an estimated 700,000 unfilled cyber jobs across the country. And not all of them, again, are at the federal level. They're state and local. Right here in Maryland, I know that there's an effort to make sure that we are fulfilling, that we're building out this cyber capability to make sure that we are ready here in the state of Maryland to go into the next future, go into the future. Some of it is literally, how do we think about artificial intelligence, that so when we do things like advanced manufacturing, that we're incorporating it. And then some of that is to make sure that our infrastructure is squared away. And you can make a ton of money doing it. I know, and my friends that are coming out of the military, when I got my clearance 20 plus years ago, I got literally a 42% raise. 42% raise just by making sure that I was able to get that clearance. And I, ladies and gentlemen, have never served a day in the military at all. The closest I ever got was to be a police officer literally at this point, 40 years ago when I started. So these jobs exist, right? They exist today, but there's just not enough people to make sure that they can get into them. And this is where your opportunity lies. But I must warn you, don't lose focus. What do I mean by that? Here in the state of Maryland, it is legal, absolutely legal, to use marijuana. I drive in DC, and those of you that are from DC, you can feel it wafting in the air. It's coming out of cars. But guess what? If you want that clearance, if you want that ability to tap into that $120,000 plus year job, if you want that ability to actually do some service, the mixture of drug use and your clearance is like oil and water. And if you remember your basic science from second grade or third grade, when you pour them together, they separate. They don't mix. Using those illicit drugs, even if your state says yes, could disqualify you permanently. The federal law is the federal law. State law is oil and water with federal law. So if you want a federal job where the money is multiples larger, don't use it. So make sure that you're making good choices. Don't do something that you think is, wow, this is cool, and I'm hanging with my friends, right? And then 5 years later, you go 6 years later, 7, a decade later, you go to apply for one of these jobs. And they say, have you? And you're like, yeah, sorry, can't do nothing. I'm old enough, and there's some of you in the room today, not high schoolers. There was a song by a rap group called EPMD. And the lyric that I'm about to say came from one of their songs. I don't remember the name of the song, but you can look it up. It said, if you hang with 9 broke friends, you bound to be the 10th. So watch how you do that. Do not lose focus. Make sure that you keep those doors that are open today are there tomorrow. So what do we mean by this confluence of artificial intelligence and national security? Well, let's look at just AI. And I'm going to repeat some of the things that my friends, particularly Dr. Washington, laid out for you about artificial intelligence. What does it do and what doesn't it do? AI does change the speed at which you can find things, the speed at which things come together. It looks for patterns. It is what humans do naturally. When you started as a baby taking the blocks, and my kids, and when I was a kid, we had these toys that were a star and a circle and had this ball, and we would learn how to put them in. Well, artificial intelligence does that at the speed of light. It can look for those patterns. It can start to think about, identify potential cyber attacks. It can do that. It can process tremendous amounts of data. You may have heard what we talk about, and one of our friends earlier, my colleagues earlier, talked about data centers. Data centers are literally these pieces that help put these puzzles together. It changes what you do, but it doesn't keep you from being absolutely important. But what can it replace? It can't replace asking the right questions. I have a podcast with some buddies of mine, and it's called WPAYS. What problem are you solving? Because if you can figure out what problem you're solving, you can figure out what gets paid. It can't do ethical judgment. It is not good for that. All you have to do is just go to Google, go to Mr. Google and say artificial intelligence and ethics, and it will start to figure it out. I was watching a Instagram post the other day that talked about it was a test where they brought together all of these artificial intelligence agents, Grok and OpenAI and Anthropic, and it said, here are the parameters, the left and right. Everything else is open to you. You can't do certain things. And guess what? It did exactly what it asked it not to do. What the human said, don't do this. Those agents went and did things that were not ethical because the ethics were about the values that were given. What AI can't do is replace values. It can't replace human relationships. It does not understand that. It is not creative. It solves problems, but creativity is heretofore what humans do. It is what we do. It's what we're good at. And it's not good at leading and inspiring people and teams. It can give you information. It can give you all kinds of analysis, but it doesn't mean that you get it won't give you what you're looking for. There's a colleague of mine that says the only thing that matters is what people buy. Everything else is a hobby. And AI can become a hobby because if you can't help people understand what it delivers, what it helping them do their jobs better, they won't buy it. There's this idea of human in the loop. I don't necessarily have a problem with that. But what I do want to say is, and I believe is, how do we center the human and bring the AI into the loop? So we ask of it, we task it what we're asking it for it to do. my good friend, Dr. Washington. I don't know if she'll agree with me on that or not, but I'm a design thinker. I'm not a scientist. I'm not a mathematician. I always put humans at the center of the activity. And so what AI does is to help really, really good thinkers think better. It gives them more information. It gives them more data. It gives them more information to make good decisions. And that's where you come in, my friends. But here's how you do that. I heard I was admonished the other day about the difference between soft skills and those of us who are adults and have been taught this stuff. And when I say adults, I mean old people have been taught we need to have good soft skills. Somebody said, nah, it's not soft skills. It's power skills. We need power skills. And all of you are what you're bringing. We had earlier in this session, we had somebody talk about critical thinking and being able to do some of these other pieces. And that's where this comes in, these power skills. And so what do I mean by power skills? I mean, here are 6 of them, and then I'm sure there's more, but here are 6 of them. Critical thinking. How do we understand critical thinking? AI answers questions, but you ask the right ones. If you can't critically offer up an idea, as a matter of fact, it's interesting. Jetson, I'm sorry, the CEO, I'm going to screw his name up, but the CEO of NVIDIA says that he believes, and I actually agree, we need less computer scientists and more humanists. Not a right word, but humanists. That's the word I'm looking for. People who can create good stories, people who can develop good ideas, people who can interrogate with their mind. Like, what do I really want to know? Critical thinking. You need to have the ability to communicate, translate really complex things simply. That's the hallmark of a good thinker. I can have a really, really good idea, but if I can't communicate it, it's just meaningless. The ability to manage interpersonal relationships, working across people, working across cultures, working across organizations, working across ranks and companies and organizations. The ability to manage relationships is absolutely critical when it comes to understanding real intelligence and how it works together. Being able to frame a problem. Framing is just as important in getting as it is having the information. If you can't frame things in ways that people understand, they will only react on and interact on what they know. One of the things that I do know is that humans think in analogies, for instance. If I can frame an idea so that people understand what I'm trying to get at, frame it so it becomes less ambiguous, now I can understand what I really need to be thinking about. Adapting. Your ability to adapt to new information is absolutely critical. Just because you have a tool doesn't mean that tool is the right one. There's this saying that says people don't want a drill, they want the hole that the drill makes. People don't want the drill, they want the hole that the drill makes. So I can adapt based on what I have available to answer the problem. I can use a drill. I can use a nail with a hammer. I can use a screwdriver. If my finger's strong enough, I can do that. So I need to have the ability to take the tools, because AI is changing as quickly and as furiously as I'm talking to you now. It's building new things. How do I take that, all those tools, and adapt that to the ideas, the problems, the critical paths that I'm trying to create? And finally, do I have the integrity? Do I have the character? Am I a jerk to make all of this stuff work? This is where it gets really, really important, because ultimately your clearance or the trust that you build as a result of this will influence where and how people work with you. And so now what? Yes, Smith, got it. I appreciate you. So now what do I do? How do I move forward? Dr. Washington laid out some of this stuff. Other folks laid it out. Master math and science. You don't have to be a mathematician. I'm not. But what does math do? Math teaches you how to think. You want to have a good foundation in STEM, but you also want to have a good foundation in critical thinking, in understanding process. Algebra. My wife is an algebra teacher. The process of learning algebra will influence how you do anything in life. Her more creative students that are more about arts utilize algebra to understand how to think about their ideas. Take advantage of these online open source certifications. Get as many certs as you can. I was telling you that I have my youngest son is studying computer science. He now has 13 or 14 online certifications from Microsoft and Coursera and all these others. He did some of them as a senior in high school. He did some of them as a freshman in college. You don't have to wait. Get started. Look for some unpaid internships early. Get out there. Put yourself out there. Some things that you do will not scale. In other words, they won't get you paid now, but they might get you paid later. So you want to take advantage of that because it shows initiative. It shows your ability to work with people. It's just not about the technology. It's how do I engage with folks? And finally, one of the things you could do is just informal interviews. Just talk to people, engage with them, understand their world, get out there and build your idea. One thing that's not on here, and I would encourage all of you to do this because I'm going to offer it up later on, is I want you to build your LinkedIn profile. Start building it now because LinkedIn is the professional world's, for right now, and for most of you, is the professional world's Instagram. That's how they're going to find you, and not how they're going to find you, but how you find other people, other opportunities, because there's a bunch of them. But it's like a book. You don't know what's inside and available until you open it. So here are some free resources. Google, Anthropic, CyberAces, Google Project Management, which is a good one, learning how to manage low cost like CompTIA. And then there's other things that are out there. If you really, really want to get in the national security space, I know of at least 3 people who had internships at NSA before they even graduated from high school. But that meant that they had to stay clean. Oh, and they help you pay for school as well. So these are some free resources. And so this is where you help you get your security clearance. Again, I want to tell you that my security clearance was worth 42% raise. I went from $62K to over $100,000 literally overnight because I was able to keep my record clean. I had no felonies, no illicit drug use, nothing even down to the state. Then they will go deep. Depending on the level of your security clearance, they'll go back at least 10 years. At least 10 years. And we'll talk to a bunch of folks around you. Build your financial responsibility. In other words, make sure that you understand money and not just where does my money go, but how do you spend money? How do you keep from getting in debt? Your credit rating is a part of this. They will look at it. And be integral in everything that you say. If you're honest, be honest. If you had used something in the past, say it. Because guess what? If they have to go and find it, right, it will crush your ability to get out there. So make sure you do that. And finally, come on, here we go. There we go. I want to tell you that, I'm sorry, it's lagging. Finally, the nation needs you. The 5 things I want you to carry with today: national security is bigger than just warfare. It's bigger than just blowing things up. It encompasses how do we protect the nation state? How do we protect your neighbors? How do we protect, for instance, cybercrime? I was just hearing something about cybercrime now. They're using Zoom to tap in and do cybercrime, interestingly enough. You don't need a uniform to do this. Things that you do today will shape your tomorrow. Not just power skills and technical skills. I wanted to say this, not just technical skills, but you need power skills. Those things that will make or break your career. And when you have free resources, use them. This is really important. It starts today, and you don't need anybody's permission to be able to do it. So if you want to reach out to me, follow me on LinkedIn. My name is spelt with an M, Tyrone. You'll know you have the right person because that's my mug. It sits right on my LinkedIn page. I hope that I have given you some inspiration about what's possible. I'm not a technician who's going to tell you take these courses. I'm not the person that's sitting in front of the computer screen, but what I do is work with leaders. I do work with organizations that are looking for bright young people like yourselves, either high schoolers or folks who are leaving the services, to go out and do these things, to do things that will protect the nation. I thank you and have a wonderful rest of your day.
The future isn't waiting. It's calling on students ready to step up. It's calling on you to serve communities, to explore careers, to build what comes next. Service to Nation, a national virtual job and AI training connects students to real pathways, real skills, and real purpose. College bound or not, your future belongs here. Discover what's possible. Visit servicetonation.org.
Hi, my name is Marcia Jews. Welcome to STEM City US coverage of the conference. Through all 3 days, we will be bringing you incredible interviews with inspiring STEM pioneers leading the way in industry, government, academia, and around the world. And now, please welcome our next guest.
Hi, I'm Angela Williams, and I work for UL Solutions as their Chief Information Security Officer. Something you may not know about me is that I've been a member of a sorority for over 33 years, and one of our traditions is collecting elephants. I have over 150 elephants in my collection. One of my favorite elephants is one that is made out of complete crystal. However, I have elephants made out of alabaster, shells, and pennies.
Let's talk about the elephant.
Okay, the elephant in the room.
How did the elephant come about?
Well, I belong to Delta Sigma Theta Sorority Incorporated. Been, like I said, been in the organization for a very long time. It's a tradition to collect elephants, and they're pretty. I mean, big ones, small ones. The trunk is always up, and it's very adventurous to try to find an elephant that's unique.
What does when the elephant's trunk, it lifts up.
Yeah.
Is there something in that
good
meaning?
Luck.
Oh, it's good luck.
Yeah.
So if I get a statue of an elephant and the trunk is up, then I know that it's good luck.
Yes.
So if the elephant is just swinging,
I don't know what that means.
then we don't know, because that's not what we do. Okay.
Right.
I love that. So tell us how you got to be a CIS.
Yeah, so Chief Information Security Officer.
Yes.
That has been definitely a journey. I started my career in IT right out of college. Desktop support was what the big thing was back then, and security was not.
Okay.
So I went to school and got a degree in computer information systems. And over the years, as I started learning technology, how it works, how it interacts with one another, security came about when I worked for a CIO, and HIPAA was a big regulatory requirement that was coming around the corner, and he needed someone to develop a data protection program for the most part. And I did not want to do it at first. I told him absolutely not, because it didn't sound exciting. It wasn't a practice that was well talked about a lot at that time. But I dove right into it. It's all about problem solving. And I was very intrigued, because within IT, you think about how something should work. So you're doing all the functional testing, but in security, you're looking at how it shouldn't work. And that was very intriguing to me.
That's interesting. But how when you start looking at all of the different levels, because there are different levels that are happening, how do you maintain all of that?
It is a lot to keep up with.
Yes.
I won't exaggerate that. It is a lot to keep up with, from identity and access management, which is one specific domain, to governance, risk, compliance, data privacy. You have to have a building block. They all interact with one another, but learning a foundation of the requirements or controls necessary to protect an organization is critical. And then as you approach each discipline, whether it's incident response, you learn to take those skills, that education around it, and apply it on a day-to-day basis. Technically, we're all security practitioners. I know cyber is a field that has an official title, but if you think about how you operate in your day-to-day life, you are, managing risk when you walk out the door.
Life is a risk.
Yes.
And you have to be able to pull it in.
Yes.
And make certain that it fits in those silos.
Yes. And make decisions based upon information and facts. And then you decide, what do you want to do? What do you not want to to do, depending on what the outcome is going to be.
And how do you integrate all of that? Because there's so many different levels with what you're doing.
Yeah, it takes a team, okay? This is not a one-person show to run cyber. It is a collective team effort. So I surround myself with highly talented people who are passionate about the role that they serve in, people who are inquisitive and thought leaders. And we collectively talk about the problem that needs to be solved. How do we feel we best can solve it? What value will it bring to the business? And how does it move the needle forward?
And that's huge.
Yeah.
Because they are silos and
Yeah.
you've got to make that integration.
Yes.
How do you deal with that in a team environment to get everybody on the same track?
Well, first, I think respect that people are people.
Okay.
What they do just happens to be their job, but they first show up as a human being. So we try to have fun. I think if you were to ask my team members, do I try to weave in fun yes, I laugh, we throw out memes, and we just try to make the environment, uplifting. In some of my meetings, we'll spend a little time asking everybody, what is the last thing you bought on Amazon? Just to get to know people, Right. And then as they bring their authentic self to the table, you will be amazed at the creativity that people provide to solving a problem and sewing that all together, being very honest about what they know and what they don't know.
How did you get to SVP, Senior Vice President? How did you get to that level? And moreover, what made you decide that was the level you wanted to get to?
Great question. I would say my career has started with me focusing on necessarily what I wanted to do. Cyber didn't exist when I was coming through my career. Early stages. No one had a practice of cyber. But I had a great group of mentors, coaches, cheerleaders who would tell me, you can do more. This is what I think you should consider, and keep myself open to opportunities versus being closed-minded to what I only knew or what I was aware of or even comfortable with.
Right.
So being uncomfortable is part of the job, and getting to any level. Security officers can be vice presidents, senior vice presidents, directors. It just depends on organization. It comes along with the territory. It's about how you fit in that role for the culture of that organization.
But sitting there, observing this as you first initially moved into this area.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden, there are all these different stacks of evidence that there is a real corporation going on in here, and I'm part of it. Now, what do I do?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
How do you get yourself on that same keel?
Right.
Because it's a whole new world for you now.
Yeah.
When you start out.
I've gone through a lot of leadership development. I still go through leadership development. I don't think anyone gets to a place in their career that you don't keep learning. You keep learning. And there's soft skills you learn. Of course, there's technical skills you learn. I think the further out my career, I had to learn a lot more the soft skills. How do I bring people to the table to want to work with me? How do I influence decisions that may not come directly to me that I have 100% control over?
Right.
How do I explain a complex topic to people who have no idea what cyber is even about? I've learned this over my career, step by step, pace by pace, problem by problem, and I continue to keep these skills in my toolkit and bring them out when I need to, and then share with others who are trying to learn the same thing. It takes time. There's nothing you can just go to school and say, I'm going to be a So it is really about putting yourself in the projects or problems that no one else wants to solve, working on it with other people and collaborating, and then learning how to navigate in corporate America, because those are three different types of skills you have to have.
And they're all huge. And how do you weave all of that together so that the whole team, because when you start looking at the team, ultimately they're going to start moving. Somebody's going to start moving upwards, right? And how do you start from that baseline to help them navigate to the next level?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's a great question. So one of the things I like to do when new staff members are onboarded is to ask them, what brings you passion? Why do you like security? What is it about cyber that gets you up every day that makes you want to come into an office if you're physically in person or virtual? And once I understand what gives them that excitement, then I ask the question, what's sucks the air out the room for you?
Right.
What is it you don't like? What is it that just totally depletes you? And when I find that these different personalities, you start putting them together in pieces.
Yeah.
You can't have all A-type personalities. That would be a disaster. You have to have a balance. And so it's important to interweave people, different backgrounds, diverse thinking, diverse thoughts. It's just so many different formulas you can use. And I believe I am a people person with the passion to help you be your best version of you. And I will look at others and say, I think you definitely do this role, or I think you should take on this project, or I think you should consider these opportunities because you have the skills necessary. Don't overthink it. Take advantage of this chance for you to excel, and then try to make sure I present those opportunities.
And you initiate that from your observations?
Yes, I do.
So do you take notes somewhere or just keep it in mind, things that are going on? And how do you make those decisions? And you start looking at your team, and how do you start to get them to escalate to become part of leadership? What should those people do in order to get to that?
Right. So I think it's important for team members to feel empowered to make decisions. It's easy for everyone to say, Angela, you're the decision maker, you're in charge.
Right.
No, I am not trying to run a team in that nature. Every person has been brought to the table to execute in a certain way. So I truly try to give them full authority to make decisions. Keep me informed about what you're trying to accomplish so I can have your back. I can make sure I can support it. We can have a dialogue as to if it's, meaningful, not meaningful, efficient, cost effective. And out of that, then just underscoring, just go and make these decisions and you'll feel more confident the next time. So over time, you'll see people evolve and become extremely capable.
Right.
Of doing their job without any interaction or necessary needing me to be in the room with them.
And here, when you start bringing in young people who haven't had that experience, but there was something about them that HR said, let's bring that person on the team. How do you bring in a new generation of young people to work within your organization?
I love a good pipeline because we all got our start somewhere. I used to be an intern out of college, so I already know what that looks like when you are unfamiliar with the environment. You have no idea what kind of projects you're going to work on. You don't want to sound like you don't know what you're talking about. So putting that group under the wings of leadership, not just me, but all leaders, have the opportunity to mentor and to coach and provide direction. And there is no such thing as a dumb question.
Right.
At all. So everybody gets to ask what they want. So I'll call it pipeline of talent. It is so important to nurture that talent pool and ensure that they feel valued, they're an asset, but they're learning something too. And they can take that skill set and apply it and then want to possibly come work for us.
And that's huge. Too often we have young people who don't have mentors.
Yeah.
How do we create... I was thinking this a couple of months ago. Some friends of mine were caught in a conversation about how to navigate the growth to get to the next level of your career. But one of the things that I really wondered about was if we start in middle school, how would that help develop somebody by the time they get ready to go to college? I have friends where we've talked about that whole middle school gap is huge. And not everybody's ready to make that senior high school level or ready to go into college because they're still stuck in that lower level. How do we give that encouragement, and what do we need to do to help these young people develop themselves to be ready to go to college or to be ready to get a job? What when they come to you, what do they need to really have? What's in their toolkit?
That's a very broad question. There's so many things to be packed into that piece of luggage.
Well,
middle school is a very interesting age because they're very impressionable with the classmates and what they think is important, let alone thinking about a career maybe 20 years from then. But I think it's it's important to teach or talk them the same way I talk to a high schooler. To me, college is table stakes, or getting to something that's a trade skill is table stakes. You've got to have something that you can put your name behind that says, I know how to do this.
Okay.
But in the security space, I think it's about having great soft skills. It's not all technical all the time. There are very technical, I'll call it positions, but there's some non-technical positions. But just being able to articulate a story and being able to tell a person the why behind it. When you're young like that, you're just bright-eyed about the possibilities. We don't want to damper that at all.
Yes.
We want to encourage that. And then give them a path of how do you get there. So finding out what do you want to do. In middle school, nobody knows what they really want to do. They want to be a basketball player or, influencer. And it wasn't around. Well, influencer was not around with me. So you just got to channel that energy of whatever they're really excited about and kind of give them some options of what they can follow as a path.
Yes.
And also keep their eyes wide open to happening around them, because it's not all about them. So they can't be self-centered. You've got to pay attention to everyone else around you as you navigate this thing called life. And things will happen. Everything does not happen perfectly. My career did not happen as a straight trajectory. It went sideways. It went backwards a little bit. It excelled forward. Be open to change.
Yes.
Be open to change. My dad gave me some really good advice when I first started in corporate America. And I thought, okay, I'm coming out of school. I'm going to have this great job. And I'm going to just excel. And he says, before you go in just trying to change the world, there's some things you need to consider.
Yes.
There are three types of people. There's people who watch things happen. There's people who make things happen. And there's people who wonder what happened. You need to figure out who you want to be.
Say that one more time.
There's people who watch things happen. There's people who make things happen. And there's people who wonder what happened.
And that's real, girl.
I'll never forget that.
Real. That is real.
It made me pause and think. And anybody can use that from middle school, high school, college. That is when you walk into a room.
Right.
You work on a project with other people. Who are you in that project?
Right.
Who are you for that company? So,
right. And how do you make yourself blend in an environment that you're not accustomed to?
Yes. Learn.
Yes.
Always learn. Don't be
Yes.
so quick to answer everybody's problems, especially if you're someplace new. Learn the environment. Learn who you are. I think it's important to have self-reflection.
Yes.
Who are you as a person? How do you
Yes.
like information brought to you? How do you deliver information? I think words matter.
They do.
I'm very intentional when people use words to pause a conversation and ask, what do you mean when you use that word? Just so we're all on the same page, because we didn't all come from the same household.
Right. Or the same region.
Or the same region.
Yes.
Absolutely. So words can sometimes trip us up. And there's a lot of misunderstandings that happen when we use words that we think we know the definition behind it.
But also, there was an experience that I had 100 years ago, and when I was starting out, and there was an organization, I'm not going to name anybody, but they didn't know me, and they needed to really get an understanding that I would still be able to fit into their environment. And it was very difficult for them, and they always tested me. I can't go into a lot of detail, but they did test me a lot. And finally, one day I had to explode, but they were waiting to see whether or not I would. And so that test lasted with me to this day, that there are environments that you may be in where you have to have caution to be certain that whatever it is that you're doing is not going to impact you and your career negatively. So you have to be present.
Yes. In my experience, I have faced a lot of those type of challenges. Can I control anyone else's opinions, perceptions, thoughts about who people may have thought I was or what I was about? I think that I try to be very thoughtful and considerate of others. But again, I've run into situations in my career that did not work out the way I thought it was, even with my good intention being on the table. And I don't think anyone should feel discouraged too long. Okay, you can be on the non-party train for a minute, have a pity party moment, then get over it and learn, okay, what can I do different? If anything at all. Some things you can't. Some things are just things you have to go through to put a level of armor and awareness in your brain so that you just know that there are personas out there that will do X, Y, and Z, and you just are more prepared and not caught off guard as much the next time it may happen.
And that's real.
Yeah.
And sometimes when you're surrounded by people who are at the top area of their strategy, in order to not only do what they think we should be doing, but what they think they want you to do.
True.
Which you have to be very cautious in your movement around those players, but also getting to know all the people as you go through the hierarchy.
Yeah.
And who they are and what they bring to the table. I used to take notes.
I take mental notes.
But I used to take notes.
Yeah.
And by the time I got through, I had a better idea of what I needed to do in order to work with them.
Yes, that's so important. I would not marginalize that point, okay? Knowing people and how they move, how they talk, what their intentions are, is a part of anyone's role. You've got to be aware and not assume anything. Get to know folks. So normally people have good intentions, but there are people out here who don't, which is fine. Knowing how you show up in those scenarios is in key. Know thyself is for real. You got to know thyself and be comfortable. To be true. You got to know yourself and then be comfortable with that. There's not always going to be a cheerleading squad for you. Right. Sometimes I used to look in the mirror and just give myself self-affirmation.
Sometimes
you're good enough.
Do.
Yes.
That's exactly right.
You can do this, regardless of the naysayers. Do not let that dissuade you. And of course, you have your parents. They always love you.
Of course.
You have my sisters. They love me.
Yes.
I have a husband. He loves me.
Of course. Yes.
But you have
that
to.
over there?
Yeah, absolutely. You got to persevere. It is on.
Real.
It is.
And ain't nobody going to help you do that.
No.
Because they're not everybody doesn't want you to be successful.
Not at all.
So you got to pay attention to all of that and receive all of those movements.
Yes.
Watching the eyes and the body language when people are having the conversation. They really are. And I didn't learn that for years, but I'm telling you, once I had somebody to sit with me and say, you know what, Marcia, I really like you and what you're doing, but let me just say these 5 things you need to deal with.
Yes. So feedback. Feedback is a gift.
Huge.
And I learned in an organization I used to work for on how to give and how to receive feedback. And sometimes that can be so powerful. If you want to understand maybe how you're showing up to other people, ask them to give you feedback.
Yes.
If you want to give someone feedback, ask them, hey, can I offer you some feedback? Give them an opportunity to say yes or no.
That's huge.
But it is huge to get that insight information. And the more you do that, in real time, you'll start to see how others see you. And they get to learn a little bit more about you and your intentions from the jump street.
And you have to be comfortable with yourself as as you navigate, because sometimes these doors open not necessarily for who's coming through, but who they want to come through.
Agreed.
And so we have to be ready at all times, at all levels of the expectation, and pay attention to what's around you. And take notes.
Take notes, absolutely.
Take notes, the behaviors, what they did, how they did certain things. We just got to be present.
You have to be present. That goes back to those 3 things my dad said.
Yes.
You watch things that are happening. Just watch, take notes. Mental notes, you want to write down, fine, but take notes. And then figure out how do you want to navigate in that environment. That is so important.
Yes.
And it can trip you up. It takes practice. No one is good at it. I was never good at this from the beginning. I was like, oh, this is horrible. I make mistakes.
Right.
But I learn from them.
But we do.
You can't beat yourself up too long.
Yes. And just be grateful that that's where you are. And by the way, you know how to navigate it.
Yeah.
Because you've also surrounded yourself with people who will support you.
Yes.
We need to have that.
Yes.
We have a group of us that we keep ourselves together and we interact all out. We call ourselves the circle. It can't be broken.
Yeah, right. Yeah, you do need that.
And I rely on them.
Yes.
And they rely on me. We rely on one another.
Yes.
Because we know, and they're in different corporations, in different levels.
Oh, absolutely.
You know, but you've got to bring it all together to be able to get what you need in order for you to be the best manager that you can be.
Absolutely. I call that my personal board of directors.
I love it.
And that group of 6 or 7 people rotate depending on where I am in my life, my career. You can't have your parents on the board because everything you do is wonderful and great.
Of course.
So it's got to be people who are going to have a person that plays a role that's a wise sage, somebody who's going to always give you that wisdom perspective.
Yes.
And then you need someone who's going to check you. Somebody who's going to say, that sounds crazy, and you look crazy, so don't do that.
That's real.
Yes, and then you need someone who is going to also be pragmatic for something, who will kind of step it out and make you challenge yourself a little bit, stretch you. So having this personal board of directors, which I've had for over 20 years now, has been crucial to getting myself to not believe my own headlines.
Okay.
Understanding what
That's
reality.
hard, though. That's hard. That is hard. That is hard.
Understanding reality, and then at the same time, figuring out where I can show up and be better.
Yes.
You know, I'm always trying to improve. I feel like the best version of myself should show up for everybody all the time, and I need a board of directors that helps me keep that on that path.
I love it. I love it. 3 things before we leave that you would do if you were your younger self.
Oh, if I got to talk to that young lady again, I would tell her, 1, do not let anyone tell you or give you a belief that you're not good enough or capable. I came through a time where there was not a lot of women in IT, and I was typically the only female. So it was a lot of difficultness balancing, am I good enough, not good enough? So I would tell my younger self, you're good enough. Go for it. Take calculated risks. Do not be afraid to step out on that edge. You don't need to be bleeding edge, but just get on the edge. Okay, and be okay with that. And if you make a mistake, it's okay. It is not going to ruin your life.
Right.
The third thing I would tell my younger self is have more fun. You take yourself too seriously, and everything is not just ones and zeros. It's relaxed, you know, smile more, but smile with an intention to have some fun. And this is how I brought it forward in my career.
I love it. Thank you so much, Angela. And hopefully we'll be able to see you every year.
Oh, that'd be nice.
You know this your family now.
Yeah. I appreciate it. This has been great. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Take care, and congratulations on your award.
Thank you very much.
All right, it's Marcia Jude, and we'll be right back.
What if you could build your own city? A place where every child can find nurturing people to help them achieve their full potential. A place where every adult can access job training support. Where health education is abundant. Where social justice ruled the land. A place without limitations. Welcome. You have arrived at STEM City, USA. It is what every city should be. A safe and trusted community where you find people and resources to help you become everything you are and beyond. STEM City is unlike anything you have ever experienced. It is a digital twin of the world around you, only better. STEM City is about energy and soul renewal. It is more than a digital world. You can almost feel the power of live cultural events, music, and theater. STEM City promises a better future for children with caring mentors and hands-on activities with dedicated tutors to support our youth. STEM City is your passport to a healthy lifestyle with weekly events addressing our community's many issues. STEM City is your financial well-being with helpful information on wealth management, career advancement, job training, and so much more. STEM City is the community you deserve. It is the city where your dreams can come true. STEM City USA, a place in the sky that is accessible to all who reach for the stars.
Welcome back, everybody. We've come to what might be the most personal industry on our list today, because every single person is watching this. Every student, every veteran, every parent, every teacher, and every one of us who's been touched by healthcare. You've been to a doctor. You've sat with a sick family member. You've waited for a test result. You felt the difference between a system that works and a system that doesn't. And the truth is, healthcare in America is being reinvented in real time. AI is reading medical images faster than radiologists. Algorithms are designing new drugs in months instead of decades. Wearables are catching heart conditions before symptoms ever show up. Genomic sequencing is making medicine personal, built around your DNA, not someone else's average. And immunotherapy is teaching the human body to fight cancer in ways we couldn't have imagined 10 years ago. Veterans, the VA, the Department of War health system, and the entire biotech industry are looking for your operational discipline, your leadership, and your mission focus. Students, if you want a career where the work you do literally adds years to people's lives, healthcare is calling your name. But here's the thing nobody tells you. Behind every breakthrough drug, every life-saving diagnostic, every smart hospital, there are operations people making it actually work. The systems, the teams, the relentless cutting of unnecessary steps so doctors can spend more time with patients and less time clicking buttons or even writing reports. This is exactly what our next presenter has built her career around. Marissa Kelly is the Senior Manager of Customer Operations at Adaptive Biotechnologies, a pioneering biotech company using the science of the human immune system to transform diagnostics and treatments for some of the most challenging diseases on Earth. Marissa builds and scales the kind of operations that make breakthrough medicine actually reach the people who need it. She brings a startup mindset, agility, and relentless focus on what actually improves the patient experience. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Marissa Kelly.
Thank you so much. What an amazing introduction. I am Marissa Kelly, and I've worked in healthcare and biotechnologies for most of my career. I currently work at a very cool company called Adaptive Biotechnologies that primarily focuses on blood cancer testing. And I wanted to start off today with just a quick thought experiment, asking you to take a moment and think about the last time that you were trying to do something and it wasn't working. Maybe a website wouldn't load, or you were trying to get something delivered and you were stuck waiting on something that should have felt really simple. That frustration and that moment where you're like, why is this so hard? Is what I built my career on and what I do for a living every day. So let me go ahead and pull up my slides here. When I was sitting in your seat, I really didn't know this is what my job would become each day. It's probably not even a job that I knew existed, frankly. It's kind of a career I fell into. So I wanted to walk you through that journey today and tell you how I kind of stumbled into the role that I sit in currently. So I'm going to go to my next slide. I, like many people who end up in healthcare, actually wanted to be a physician at first. So I started out my journey pursuing, those pre-med recs and obtaining my degree in health science. And a lot of my early roles were at, doing care coordination and frankly, just entry-level customer service roles. And even doing things like drawing blood. So not glamorous positions by any mean, but you learn really quickly what makes patients unhappy and what makes a customer experience a bad one, frankly. And it was kind of a master class for me in customer service. And something I learned early on in my career is that a lot of times when things weren't working, it wasn't because people weren't working hard enough. It was because the systems and tools that they were using to do their job just weren't serving them well enough. So throughout all of my early career, I really became someone who was the annoying new person questioning, why are we using this old sticky note method? Why haven't we digitized these charts yet? What can we do to take some of those baby steps towards optimization? And that is what kind of led me to my current position at Adaptive Biotechnologies, where I think of me and my team. I sit on a small team within our customer operations department that really just works to make things better. We're trying to design the customer experience and ensure that operations can scale over time. And it's really, you know, a difficult balance at times, but a very fun role to be in. And there's always, more work to do as we grow as a company and as the industry changes. So my role in customer operations, it's to do just like they said in the intro. I'm always trying to think of how we can build workflows and better tools and trying to design kind of the rules and handoffs that we have behind the scenes in order to deliver test results to patients. It's always a difficult balance between trying to do right by patients and make sure that they have test results in hand when they need them. It feels really challenging some days when you're thinking about that patient and keeping them in mind because you know you're at such a critical point in their trajectory. Sometimes you're involved in their diagnosis or remission or medication decisions that are being made. So you always have that as kind of your true north, but you're balancing a lot of competing priorities throughout your day. Those customers want their answers fast and they want it to be a seamless experience, but you also have to make sure that your support teams have manageable workloads. And then you're making trade-offs against, the tech team's needs and the fact that they need a long runway in order to develop new tools and new systems for your teams to execute their job. So examples of decisions I'm making throughout my day, sometimes, you're making trade-offs and wondering if you should wait for a perfect system or create something now that's going to meet the customer's needs today, or unblock a customer experience. A lot more of what I'm doing as of late is also trying to determine what things should be automated and what things maybe need to be kept manual for the time being to reduce risk. And then you're always just trying to find that difficult balance between like prioritizing speed and accuracy and making sure that we're optimizing appropriately, and being able to scale our teams in a way that keeps employees happy at the end of the day and wanting to do the work. So it's a really fun and rewarding role and a really fun and rewarding career. They have these types of jobs in any industry. It's almost kind of an addicting thing once you get that operations bug because you'll be sitting in line at the, Madison, Wisconsin airport and the wheels start turning of, I wonder what's making this a good experience and all the systems and handoffs they have behind the scenes in order to make it so I like being here, or I don't like being here. So it's a career I never envisioned for myself, but really serves my personality. And in hindsight, once I look back at my trajectory, it really makes sense that I've ended up where I have. So I want to talk about automation for a little bit. Things are changing rapidly, and my job, I will say, what it was even 3 years ago versus today, it's kind of unrecognizable in how I actually log in to my computer and execute on my tasks throughout the day. Personally, I am in constant contact with AI. I use it all day, every day to do just basic things like drafting and refining communications and summarizing information in a really coherent way based on the audience, and just thinking through problems and structuring my ideas. Um, it's definitely improved the speed with which I can execute on things. Before, for example, when I was interacting with our Salesforce team, maybe, and looking at ways that my teams could better leverage Salesforce, I had a lot of back and forth between either our admin or the Salesforce sales team to figure out what is possible. Now I can have those conversations kind of in real time and ask it what other teams are doing, what we could be doing better. So it's made just the pace of which I'm able to explore opportunities super fast, and frankly, super fun to be able to self serve a lot of that information. Um, and then a big portion of my job that I just didn't foresee and has recently become, one of my main focuses is helping my teams decide not just what should be automated, but what should not be automated, or maybe isn't ready to be automated yet. With AI and, and the technologies we now have at our disposal, I get a lot of asks from my teams about ideas they have and opportunity that they see in their current role. And it's always that balance between wanting to hear them out, wanting to truly explore the opportunities they're bringing to me, but also trying to slow people down and kind of have them do the work to optimize before they automate. So there's a lot of just AI readiness that I'm kind of weeding through right now as a leader on my team in customer ops, and trying to think about how can we build a really robust knowledge base that's digitized and ready and waiting when we do want to leverage AI. And so to that end, there's, I think, a bunch of new opportunities popping up across multiple industries and roles like mine that are newly being created that will have a specific focus on AI. So there's AI operations and enablement roles that are very similar to mine, but more specific, and automation program management roles, and all of these new, as we queue up more co-pilots, these roles opening up of kind of the human in the loop reviewers for those new systems. So it's a really exciting time to be part of the workforce. I feel very lucky that I get to participate and watch it unfold. And, I have children right now, and I'm like, I just can't imagine what their work world and their work life will look like. But I'm ready for it. I'm excited to to see how it all unfolds over the next couple of years. So, skills to start building now. I have a lot written on this slide, and I was thinking as I was putting together this presentation, I tried to narrow it down to the three most important things, and they're applicable to any role. So whatever, regardless of what industry you're choosing to go into, I think the first and most important thing is developing clear communication and storytelling. Um, it's going to serve you in any role and at any level you're in. Communicating your ideas is one of the most important aspects of any position you'll hold. And AI is wonderful at supporting you in this endeavor. As I mentioned before, I use it pretty much all day, every day to refine my ideas and even cater my ideas to a specific audience. So if I'm preparing a presentation like this one, I might ask it to view it through an executive lens and see what advice it could give me. It's kind of like having a non-judgmental mentor that's there with unlimited time, which is really valuable. So you can bounce ideas off of it, upload an entire presentation, and ask it to help you make it better, which is wonderful. And another skill you need to develop is problem solving. This is certainly the most important skill in my current role and what I like to say I do all day, every day. I think a lot of problem solving is, when you're early on in your career, you think you have to have the perfect answer, but oftentimes it's just asking the right questions. And I think if you walk away with nothing else from me as far as advice goes today, the big advice that I would give you and that I give every young person early on in their career is you want to be known as the problem solver at work. You want to be the one who is raising their hand to be the guinea pig for the new system. If you use Salesforce, you master Salesforce. If you're interacting with Epic, you know every click in Epic and how to do things faster and better, and you're helping your team members learn those new tools and systems. It served me really well in my role, and frankly, it just makes life more exciting when you're the one coming to the table going, how can I approach this problem in a new way? Have we tried this? Can we try that? No manager or leader I've ever had has been upset when I've come to them and said, I identified a problem and I think I know how we could solve it. That's always going to serve you in your career. And then the third is data and analytical thinking. And again, I don't think this is always about, having all the answers or knowing it all perfectly. I think a lot of it is just noticing patterns and asking really good questions when you're presented with data, so that you can make strategic decisions at work and in your personal life as well. So those are kind of the three main skills I would encourage you all to foster if you are interested in a career like mine. If you're looking for more concrete ideas about skills to build, you could explore project management professional certification. I don't personally have one. Some of my colleagues do. There's also the Six Sigma and Google Data Analytics. I think certifications are a nice to have. They're not necessarily going to get you the job, but there's certainly something you can do today to start preparing for future roles. And I think if I want, it's kind of cheesy, but if I leave you with anything today, it's asking you to think back to that moment that you thought of at the top of this call, that moment of frustration. And the next time you encounter a moment like that in your personal life or in your professional life, trying to think of that moment as a moment of opportunity, because that's truly what it is. With every frustration or system that's not working, there's somebody who eventually is going to come in and fix it and make it better. And that person could be you. So that's what I want to challenge and inspire you all to go do today. Thank you for the opportunity in talking with you all. Feel free to add me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to connect with you all and help you move forward in your careers.
And just like that, we've reached the end of day one. But before you log off, I need to sit with you with what just happened. In a single morning, you walk through the future of an entire economy. Christine Burkette opened our eyes to retail and the digital commerce engine reshaping how the world buys and sells. Tyrone Taborn opened our eyes to the power of apprenticeship, a real paid debt-free pathway into America's most in-demand careers. Cornell Johnson showed us the energy sector, the literal power behind everything we do. Dr. Talitha Washington handed us the map, the roadmap to education, credentials, and the workforce of tomorrow. Tyrone Smith pulled back the curtain on government and defense, the front line of national security and innovation. And Marissa Kelly reminded us that in healthcare, the breakthroughs that save lives don't happen without the people behind them. This is one day. Imagine what an entire career of these fields could do for you, for your family, and for this country. Now, here's what I want you to do tonight. If you're a student, go to STEMcityUSA.com and register. Let me repeat that again. If you're a student, go to STEMcityUSA.com and register right now. Get the free AI curriculum. Get the workbook. Get your access to IBM Skills Build. These are tools that cost real money, and they're being placed at your hands at no cost. Repeat that again, at no cost. Please don't waste that time or this opportunity. If you're a veteran or a transitioning service member, your country is asking you to serve again. Not in uniform this time, but with your discipline, your leadership, and your mission focus. The virtual job fair is open. Walk through it. Talk to the employers. Take the next mission. If you're an educator, a program leader, or a school administrator, register your students, your unit, your transition program. Bring this back to your community. Build the pipeline and do it now. Listen, AI, cybersecurity, quantum computing, these are not just industries. They are the new battlegrounds of national leadership. And other countries are not waiting on us to catch up. Trust me. Service to nation is not just an event. It is a movement. It is a movement that requires you. We started this morning with a high school senior staring at a laptop and a service member folding a uniform. I want to close with this. You are not alone. You're not behind. You are right on time. We will see you tomorrow for day 2. Until then, go build something. I'm Dr. Victor McCrary. God bless you, and God bless America.
This spring, we're launching Service to Nation, a national virtual job and career fair, a nationwide movement to connect America's high school students with careers of purpose, innovation, and service. From rural towns to urban schools, Service to Nation invites grades 10 through 12 to explore emerging fields like artificial intelligence, cybersecurity, and quantum computing, while meeting real employers, colleges, and national service organizations. Our message is clear: your future, your service, your nation. This campaign isn't just about jobs. It's about civic readiness, workforce development, and national impact. With videos, social content, and live experiences, we'll reach students where they are and give partners a platform to meet mission-driven young talent. Together, we'll inspire a generation to learn, serve, and lead. Service to Nation, a national virtual job and career fair. Learn more at servicetonation.org.